Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Daily Gold YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me. This video is being recorded on the early evening of Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. Thank you so much for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to talk about silver and the coming breakout at $50. It doesn't look like it'll be anytime soon with respect to the next couple months or quarters, but just this is going to be so historically significant. And I just wanted to take some time to talk about that so we will all be prepared and have a huge amount of knowledge in advance of what this means when silver ultimately breaks $50 an ounce. Got a lot of charts to go through in this video, so let me get right to it. Okay, so I published a thread on Twitter or X, I believe back in May, where I talked about the greatest breakouts of all time. Now, silver and its coming breakout past $50 an ounce, that is going to be the second greatest breakout of all time. Now, the greatest breakout in modern times. The greatest breakout of all time, not just modern, but all time, that is commodity prices here in 1971. Because this was a 100-year base tested once here, again in 1920, and then partially here in the 60s, before 1971. But you can see clearly on the chart. And this, if you look at individual commodities, which we will, and how much they moved, this was a incredible breakout move. And even looking at, and I believe this is the CRB, or some similar commodity index. Based on this, this was 400 right here, 40, and this would be about 200. So this huge base had a depth of 5x. And 5x from 200 would get you to 1,000. And this almost, I'm eyeballing it, but it looks like this peaked around 900. So the depth of this, you almost had the same move, the log target in percentage terms. So anyway, bottom line here, commodity prices as a whole, 1971 or 72, this was the greatest breakout of all time. Silver's coming breakout above 50. That will be number 2. And I just want to delve a little bit into how individual commodities performed during that early 70s breakout. Oil here, the peak in oil was $3 and nearly 10 cents in 1920. Remember, 1920 was a huge inflationary peak, then 1980. This, to me, during the Civil War, this looks like it was close to 10, call it 8 or so. I could have looked it up. But anyway, this $3 was a clear resistance, even here towards the end of the Civil War in the 1870s. So this was almost a 100-year base. And again, this was tested multiple times. I like to see these bases where they're tested multiple times, and it's not just a thing like this, where it's a big U or V. So this broke past $3, and then later that decade peaked nearly at $40. It's just incredible to think for so long, trading at $3, below 3, then it has a breakout, then after that it goes to 40. So silver, this was a 47-year breakout here, the 1920 peak. 1967 it broke out, then it came back and retested. And of course, and then it went vertical twice after that retest. So there was only one test, only this test, and there wasn't another one in here. But you can see, just think about where the silver price was around here or even down here, in the early 70s. This is 50 years or so where it hadn't gone anywhere. It had never really gone above this level, and then look how much higher it went. So the point is, when you get these super long bases, prices will break out and they will move much, much higher than the market or anybody thinks at that point in time. It sounds ridiculous before the breakout, but after the breakout, they can really move just significantly, just double, triple, and quadruple those types of gains. Now, this is the best modern comparisons to what's coming in silver. So this was in copper, where this was a 32-year base from 73 to 2005. And this was only in 1 year or 13 months after the breakout. 170% additional upside. I mean, in silver, what would that be? I mean, that would put silver at like what, $135 an ounce? Oil, and these are economically sensitive commodities. I mean, silver is not quite as economically sensitive as copper. I mean, oil, of course, is very economically sensitive. So oil from 1980 to 2004, so almost a 25-year base, consolidated from 10 to 40. Then you had a breakout. I believe it gained 68% in the first year after the breakout. And that would put silver, if silver did that, around 84, I think, $84, 1 year after it breaks 50. But 2 years after, it gained 95%, and then 4 years after the breakout, 260%. That was a spectacular breakout after the initial move. And so think about that and just think about the current base in silver, where at some point in the next few years, it should rally back to $50. And this will be the third test going back. If we think about next year, that could be a 46-year base. This is just an incredible base. And when we're looking at the history, when silver breaks 50, it can move to 100, 80, 90, or $100 like in the next year or the next year and a half. So that's what's on the table. Of course, we're here and now. Silver has to chew through, all this resistance up to 35, then a little bit more before it gets to 50. But this is the setup that we're looking at, and it's just incredibly bullish. And this is something I have not shown. This is silver against the 60-40 portfolio. Here is silver right here, and here is the silver against the 60-40 portfolio ratio. Here's gold against the 60-40 portfolio ratio. So we can see here, I mean, this was the signal in gold, 72, 2002. We rallied up to resistance, probably pulling back this month. Maybe we'll continue to pull back for a couple more months. But look at these signals and where silver in nominal terms was. This was a bottom, a major bottom in silver in nominal terms. And here, the bottom in silver, I want to say it was in late 2001. Now, this is a monthly chart. It's more apparent, like on the weekly or the daily chart, but you did have a late 2001 bottom. So, I mean, look at these signals from gold against the 60-40. They align with really important lows, or really important bottoms in silver in nominal terms. Now, looking at silver against the 60-40, this is where we are here and now. So this is nuts. It's been bottoming, but hasn't been able to really move up and confirm the bottom. We'd love to see a move like that. That would really confirm the bottom. Of course, that would probably go hand in hand with this. And, I talk about the similarity to the mid to late 60s, and this is the 1960s, where I could have put in a similar line here, where in 1972 it went a little bit below it. But we can see it's definitely similar, and we're waiting for the big move here. This would follow. But it's similar for gold. When this follows and silver and gold are outperforming the 60-40, then you're going to see silver move to 50 and ultimately break it. So it's the same thing with gold. They're both really dependent on outperforming the 60-40. Again, if and when that happens, then you'll see precious metals really accelerate to the upside. Here and now, gold's run into resistance here, so it's pulling back hard this month, and that could continue for a few more months potentially. And so when silver breaks 50 and makes that huge move, you are going to see huge moves in a short amount of time. So this is this is a weekly chart. This is looking at the rate of change, so the rolling performance for silver over a 1 year period. This is over 2 years. So over a 1 year period, we can see this line is at 100. Look how many times the 1 year performance in a secular bull hit 100%. And this is the 2 year rolling performance. So again, this line is at 100. This is another line at 300%. The early 70s that happened. Also here into the 2011 top. So ultimately, when silver, takes out the resistance at 50, you will see really spectacular moves in a short amount of time. And so you can consider, what the possibilities are. Again, this is 2 years. What if silver triples in 2 years? That'd be 200%. So silver triples in 2 years. You'd pick some low point. Is it 25? What does that put it at 75 2 years from now in 2026? Here's the 1 year, so it potentially doubles in 1 year. Does that mean it's, there's a low at some point, maybe next year or later, and silver's at 40 or 45, then it doubles to 80 or 90. So I'm just thinking out loud about the possibilities, but you can, use the history here and use the math to figure out what the potential is. And so we'll wrap things up here with the silver bull analog chart. And so this is the average here, the dotted line. Of course, silver's pulling back some. You can see here is the black line. And it's really interesting how, this it comes in, the average comes into 50 right about here, and then it really accelerates when it moves above it. Can silver really break 50 in the next, call it 15, 16, 17 months or so? I guess it's possible. I mean, this acceleration here, this is less than 2 years from where we are here and now. So, I guess it's possible. I just being conservative, I think it will take longer. But this chart, it helps to illustrate that it will be a grind and a slog to get back to $50. And then we'll probably consolidate from there. But eventually, when it breaks 50, you're going to see some spectacular moves in a short amount of time. So that's it for the video on silver. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you guys and read what you're saying. And I hope you're having a good week so far. And I'll talk to you guys again on Friday for the weekly wrap-up. Thank you.